is I'm going to take a pad, put it on my polisher, grinder, making sure it's even. I'm going to dampen the surface. You don't want a lot of water on it because you don't want to create a wet slurry. You want it to be a paste. I'm going to take the 6,000 grit compound and I'm simply going to agitate it a little bit and then apply a small amount. Not a lot, as you can see. A new pad needs to be seasoned. In order to season the new pad, you must wet the pad, put the pad on the surface, and do small circles to try to impregnate the pad with the compound. As you can see, I put a little too much water on this. I really want it to be more of a toothpaste consistency. So I am simply going to move this about and spread it over the surface. And I'm going to let that dry for just a second. While I do that, I have an external device that I use to regulate the speed of the polisher, or grinder in most cases. So I have it switched to variable. I'm going to turn the speed down low, which will cause it to groan, but what that's going to do is start putting the compound into the stone so that we can facilitate our polishing process. I can feel tension on the surface, which is what you want to feel. That means that it's starting to dry out. We're using water, so we want it to start to dry out. We don't want to fling a whole bunch of compound initially here. This can be a little bit of a messy process, and it is recommended that you put some floor covering and maybe tape off a little bit around the area. However, the pads are designed, as you can see with the fluting and the button in the center, the pad is designed to bring the slurry into the pad, thereby minimizing how much is slung around the area. That does a couple of things. One, it helps keep your work area cleaner. And two, the pad, once impregnated and seasoned, you simply have to add water and it will auto-release compound for you. So after you've gone through your compound, you can use this pad a couple of more times before it's necessary to really order more compound. Well, I think this is tacky enough, and I think we're going to get started. At this point, I got it going, so I'm going to turn up the power. I'm not holding down a lot of pressure on the machine. I'm allowing the machine to do the work. notice I'm doing a cross motion here. During the polishing process, you just simply want to work the area. It's not crucial to overlap your pads as it is when you're using the normal diamond pad. As you can see, I have a buildup of compound on the surface here. This can be scraped off and utilized. The surface is actually quite warm. We're mimicking what the factory does when it manufactures the stone. They use pressure. We're using speed and compound. I am going to use some water to lubricate the surface. More importantly, to keep the pad cool so that it will polish. I'm going to do the same operation of side to side, much like when I seasoned it. Now I'm going to lubricate the surface. Now those areas where I have compound won't be polished like the rest of it. So we want to make sure that we scrape those areas off so that we can polish the entire surface. Sometimes a razor blade works very well for this. What I'm going to do is wet the surface again, more importantly to cool the stone. The stone actually gets quite hot. You might be able to see steam coming from the surface. That's how hot it can get. So please be careful. At this point, I'm going to add just a little more. We're dealing with uba tuba, a grain, which is very difficult to polish. So I'm going to add a little more compound, do one more application of the 6000. Please note, you do not need a lot of compound for this process. You can notice that the stone is so hot, it has actually evaporated the water already. Well, let's do this again. Well, let's clean this up and see where we're at with 6,000. Well, we finished with our 6,000 grit, and you can see the results that we have with the 6,000. It's almost exactly where it needs to be as far as surface quality goes. However, we have 2 more grits to go. I should caution that you can actually over polish stone, and at that point it would be shinier. I like to stop in between grits and do an evaluation of the surface quality to make sure that I'm matching what the factory did. So as you can see, we've left a stripe in the center, so you can see that this is the same tile we've been working with. The scratch gone over here. You can see where we started the honing process with the regular diamond pads, excuse me. Factory finish over here, the Polishing Pro finish on the right.